Okay, good afternoon, everybody. This is episode number 40 of the Sports Consiglieres podcast. I'm your host, Jim Whalen. My co-host is having some plumbing issues at home, so he's not going to be able to make it. But our next guest, he's a legend in this area. He born in Texas, grew up in Denver, did his college ball at Montana, was drafted in 1978 for the New York Knicks, played with the New Jersey Nets, and had a storied career in NBA up until he played to like the age of 48. It's our pleasure to introduce Michael Sugar Ray Richardson. Michael, how you doing today, sir?
For having me. I'm doing well.
All right. Well, thank you for joining the program. I can't thank you enough. I mean, I got my Nets banner. Probably I bought it when you were playing back in Brendan Byrne Arena, way back when. But I just talk a little bit about. I lost you there, Michael.
That's a pretty old one there.
Yeah, well, that's going back to I guess the mid '80s. So when you played in Brendan Byrne Arena, and I guess I guess listen, your name is synonymous with in this area, playing for the Knicks and playing for the Nets. But I saw you play in the Brendan Byrne Arena, I guess, when the Nets started coming around. But before you got to New Jersey, um, reading a little bit of your biography, and I had to thank your author Jacob Beauty for writing the book. So how did you guys cross paths? You and Jacob, how did he come in contact with you?
A friend of mine by the name of Earl Curlton, he had wrote a book for Earl, and Earl had told me that would I be interested in doing a book, and that if I would, that he had a guy for me, and I told him yeah. So he gave me Jake's number. I called him, and we got together, and it was a hit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's where I kind of came across this interview because I saw the book in Barnes and Noble and contact Jacob and we hooked it up. But I started reading the book. Growing up in Texas, you grew up. Your dad was in the military. He had some obligations in the military. Your mom pretty much raised you, and it sounded like your mom was a strong woman. And then she moved the family to Denver. What was it like growing up in Denver? Because I mean, I never been to Denver when I grew up in New Jersey, but what was it like growing up in Denver at that time?
Back then, it was a nice, small city. It wasn't expensive, and it was a real like laid back living.
And then I guess you got introduced to basketball late. I mean, uh, so you started playing basketball, and then you end up going to Manuel High School. I bless the high school that was in Denver.
Well, what happened was I had started playing ball in the sixth grade, but
Okay.
I got introduced to the game by a guy by the name of Donald Wilson. At that time, he was the principal, and he also was the basketball coach. So on our like during our lunch break, we was outside playing basketball, and he saw me, play, and he asked me if I wanted to come and play for the team, and I told him sure. So that's how I got started.
And then I guess from there, I guess Judd Heathcote, he ended up, I guess, scouting you out in Denver. He was the head coach of University of Montana. How did he? When did he see you, and when did you realize like, hey, I could play at the next level? Well, like, who kind of told you that that there was an opportunity for you to play at the next level? When you realized that you were good enough to get a scholarship?
The state tournament, I made the first team all tournament team, made the first team all defensive team, and at that time there was a lot of scouts coming out, watching this stuff, and I didn't have a lot of offers. I had from like CSU, University of Iowa. So I took a trip to Montana, and I sit there. I met Judd. I met his assistant coach, Jim Brandenburg, and they offered me at that time a 4-year scholarship, and so I took it. And the
And
reason why I took it was, because I was going to be able to, play all 4 years. I wouldn't have to go in. I wouldn't have to go and put myself in a situation where I would have to sit out for a year or none of that. I played all 4 years.
and then just doing the research for you on the show. I mean, I know your professional career, but I didn't know that this part of life. But you were the only African American on the team for 3 years. How was it? How was it going? First, I never been to Denver. I never been to Montana. So I mean, you're making your way up further north. But how was it? How was it playing at University of Montana? I mean, and was there other African Americans on
Like
campus? Like what did you kind of do to socialize a little bit?
when I first got there, I was the only black on the team. But during my high school days, our team was all black. So at the University of Montana, there was about maybe on the football team, there was maybe about 16 to 20 football athletes from Chicago, Cincinnati, all around. So, like once I got there and started mingling, with those guys, start meeting those guys, start hanging out, playing cards and stuff, it became easy. You know what I mean?
And what was your schedule like back in Montana? I mean, it's kind of spread out. So who did you guys play way back then?
Big Sky Conference. We played Weber State, Montana State, Boise State, uh, Portland State. We played some pretty good schools.
And then from there, you end up getting drafted by the New York Knicks, number 4, and I guess it's you got picked 2 picks over Larry Bird. So and what was the draft process like for you? And did you know New York was going to draft you?
But back then, it was a lot different than it is now. Like when I was drafted, I was outside playing basketball when they told me I was drafted. I didn't even know that I was going to be drafted by the New York Knicks. All the talk was that I was going to be drafted by the Chicago Bulls, and it ended up being the New York Knicks.
And what was the roster like back then? Who was the roster back in '78 when you got drafted? Because Will Sleek was the coach for a while, but then he got let go shortly after. And Red Holtzman, I guess, his
So
name's up in the rafters,
on
but he didn't like rookies. So who were some
right.
of your teammates
So
at
what
that time?
happened was it was Earl de Pearl Monroe, Jim Clemens, Bob McAdoo, Marvin Webster, Ray Williams, Toby Knight, and a guy by the name of Glenn Gunderzak.
Wow, so you had some
And
squad
so
there. So
yeah, we had some squad there. But what happened was we had just came off of a West Coast swing where we had won 5 out of 6 games, and they called Willis Reed in there, and they fired him. And we couldn't understand, why would they fire him?
and what was the background on that? Like what happened with like what do you think it was?
They just wanted to go into like another direction.
And then Red Holtzman takes over. Red Holtzman only brought the New York Knicks championship, but he wouldn't play rookies. Did he ever sit you down and say, "Hey, listen, Michael, we're not going to play you"? Like what was your exchange with Red Holtzman?
I mean, he said to me, I really don't like to play rookies, but you got to earn you have to earn you have to earn you have to earn your way. You know what I mean? And so I came to practice every day. I was the first one there and the last one to leave every day. So I worked. So that first year I didn't get a lot of playing time. So when the season was over and I went home, I played every day. So when I got back to training camp that second year, he put the ball in my hand and said I was going to be the starting point guard because I came in tip top shape and I was ready.
You definitely were. And how long was Holtzman a coach? Because then Hubie Brown came in after
Uh,
that. So
he coached for 2 years, and then after that, Hubie came in, and Hubie and I didn't see eye to eye on anything. He had a he had a real different philosophy on coaching and the way he presented himself.
and then obviously coming from Montana, you're in New York City in the '70s. I mean, for a young kid with money in his pocket, the opportunities were endless. So what was a socialite out there, and what did you do to fill your time? I mean, all your family's out west, so what did you kind of do to fill your time?
And it was, at that time I was real close to Ray Williams, so I would hang out with him because he was from the New York area. So I was always hanging out with Ray Williams. He and I was the backcourt mates.
Yeah, and then with Hubie though, like he's still doing games now. Have you spoken to him? Have you spoken to him after your departure from? I mean, you spoken to him
Yes.
over the years, and you guys had mend fences. And how was it playing for him?
Matter of fact, I spoke to Hubie, I would say about 7 months ago in Oklahoma City when he was calling the game, and he was a very different man at that time than he is now. It was
Yeah,
very, very pleasant.
and then you didn't see him. I mean, you haven't seen him since his departure with the Knicks.
That was the first time I seen him on TV and stuff, but yeah.
Yeah. All right, but then your playing style, you became you were an all-star. You led the league in scoring and assists. So who kind of mentored you or helped you out during the first couple seasons with New York?
Well, like you said, my first couple of years when I first started playing, I led the league in steals and assists. I didn't lead the league in scoring, but I led the league in steals and assists. And my way to play in the NBA was that the NBA had $1 million scores, and if I wanted to play, I had to play defense and had to be able to get the ball to the right people. So I focused on playing defense and getting the ball to the right guys, and so that's how I was successful.
Yeah. And then from the Knicks, I guess it didn't work out with the Knicks, so then you ended up going to out to Golden State. Who was out there with you in Golden State, and how was your time out with Golden State?
It was like a Blair. I would call it like a Blair because I was only here for like a couple of months. It was when I was going through all of my problems. So that right there, I really don't know. It was like a Blair. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, for yourself though, I mean, looking back at it, like I think you probably had to do some introspective. I mean, your story's been well documented, but like, looking back, what thinking kind of drove you to that? Was it was what kind of void do you think you were trying to fill at that time, or is it? I lost you there, Mike.
I'm not sure if I was trying to fill a void or something, but at the time that I started doing it, I was just doing it just to be doing it.
Yeah,
Had no idea that it was going to be something more powerful than me. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like being an alcohol. Alcoholic, knowing that you
yeah.
can't drink. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, listen, we really didn't know. I mean, you're a young man, you got money in your pocket, you got, you're a star, NBA star. I mean, listen, everybody would kind of would have fell into that. But like you said, you don't know what at the time. We didn't have the research or anything else. It was the party scene. It was the '70s, So it just everything kind of happened. But just refocusing it back to basketball, you end up getting traded to the Knicks. And how did you find out you got? I mean the Nets. How did you find out you got traded to the Nets?
It's really, really strange because I got traded at halftime during a game. We was playing a game, and they came in at halftime, traded you to the New Jersey Nets for Mickey Johnson and Sleepy Floyd. So if you want to come back on the floor and play, or you can just take a shower and leave. So I was in misery, so I just took a shower and I left. But it was the best thing for me. You know what I mean? At that time,
And who was
it
it?
was.
Al Adels was he the GM at the time? Or?
He was the GM and he was the coach.
All right, let's just talk a little bit about that next team. You had yourself, I guess, Otis Birdsong, was he on the team? Buck Williams, Chocolate Thunder.
Son, Albert King, Mike Jaminski, Daryl Dawkins, Darwin Cook, Foots Walker. Oh, we had a hell of a team.
Yeah, yeah. Listen, I saw you play, so that's what kind of had me reach out to Jacob with, because I saw you guys play, and then you were a big fan of Dr. J. I mean, Dr. J with the ABA, you had the merger, I guess, and then you kind of played after you played after the merger with the ABA and NBA. But what was it like going up against Dr. J in that playoffs? Because I guess they just came off the '83 season, and that was a heck of a team too, with Moses and Mo Cheeks, and they had Jones, and they had a club. They were that was a talented team. What was it like going against Dr. J and then beating him in that first round?
It was a hell of a team. It was like a dream come true. So we had played them well like the whole year. We had beat them already uh, two, two out of three games during the regular season. So we knew that we could win there. And so we played our first game in there, and we went in there and we won. Because I guess Philly, they kind of really they kind of looked over us. You know what I mean? The New Jersey Nets, they're not that tough, guys. And then game two, we went back in there and we beat them again. So we were so excited on the bus. Said we're gonna go home and we're gonna sweep the defending champs, and boom, 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 and everybody was drinking. The guys were drinking beer and had the music going, talking, having fun on the bus ride. So we get back to New Jersey. So game three, the 76ers came out and they took it to us. Julius, he took it over. He was spectacular. And then game four, it was a dogfight. But at the end, they got all the calls. It was a dogfight. So what happened was game five. After game four, Julius Irving puts in the newspaper that you might as well mail in the stat sheet because the series is over. So we get on the bus the next morning, and the coach has it on the bus. Julius Irving says you might as well mail in the stat sheet because this series is over. Going back to Philly, game five. Right then, he opened up a can of worms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He opened up a can
So
of worms.
it gave you
Me
extra motivation. So
yes. And me and Otis Birdsong, we took control of the game. We controlled their two guards. And that's how we won the series.
and then was Larry Brown the coach then, or who was the coach for you guys back then?
Coach Stan Auerbach.
Stan. Okay, yeah, that's right, Stan Auerbach. So did he tell you before the game, and like, listen, it's going to be you and Otis. You're
He
gonna
just
control the
told
game,
us,
and
go out and just play, just be free. We know we wasn't under no pressure. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
didn't nobody was picked us to win anyway. You know what I mean?
And
Because everybody thought that we was gonna get swept.
well, listen, I mean, that was a fun team to watch. Did you still keep in contact? I know Darryl Dawkins unfortunately passed away, but you still keep in contact with any of the other players from that team, like Albert King or I know you and
Uh,
Otis. I guess you and Otis. I guess you have a camp out in Oklahoma where you're living now. But
is, Otis and I are real close. We have a couple of business in couple of business adventures going on now, and we've been doing some basketball camps for like the last 14 years in Florida and New Jersey. So he and I are real close.
where do you do the camps in Jersey? Just so if you're gonna promote it, where would somebody find it?
At Patterson, New Jersey,
Well, okay,
at uh, at Joe Todd High School in Patterson, New Jersey.
okay, and is that on social media anywhere? Anybody can find it. They're looking to get attend the camp. Is that on social media?
Could be on social media, but I mean, you can go and look on our website at www.ballstars.com, and you should be able to see it.
And what about besides Otis? You still talk to anybody else on that team or
Albert King every now and then, but I have a
okay?
son that plays professional soccer in Italy, so I spend a lot of time over there.
And how did he end up? I know you have 5 kids, and most of them doing well. I think one of them was a farm in New Jersey. Where's he a farm uh, in Jersey?
So he went he's in Plainsville.
Uh, Plainfield
He's
or
in Plain
Pleasantville or what? Okay,
Pleasant,
okay,
and daughter that's 35. She lives in Harlem. She's a doctor,
okay,
and then I got my oldest daughter lives in Colorado. She's a stay-home mom, and
okay.
then I got kids in the south of France, which my daughter is a realtor, and my son is a professional soccer player. He
Oh wow.
plays in Florence, Italy.
So what team does he play for in Italy?
Tino.
And then I mean, I guess well after the Nets, like well, let's get back to the basketball part of it. You you know, I guess David Stern, for you were the first. I guess you were an NBA All Star, and then you end up first player to get banned and first player to get reinstated. So when you got banned, what like who was kind of did you have any mentors or was anybody shepherding you during that process? Like saying, "Hey, Michael, you're gonna have to right the ship a little bit here."
Well, what I did was I went and I looked at myself in the mirror and said that you got yourself into this, you got to get yourself out of it. And from that day on, after I had got banned, I start to work out again, and I got a call from the Albany Patroons up in Albany,
Okay.
and by the guy by the name of Bill Musselman. He
Okay. Yeah.
coached
Sure.
the team.
Mm.
So that year we were 65-10, and we won a championship. And during the year, I played against a guy by the name of Bob Hill. And
Okay.
so Bob Hill, when the season was over, he always was telling me during the season if he gets a job overseas, he wanted to give me an opportunity.
Okay.
And I told him yes. So when the season was over, Bob Hill had got a coaching job in Bologna, Italy. And I was living in New Jersey at that time, so he had called me and told me that the owner of the team in Italy is going to fly to New York. He wanted to meet me. So he and I and Bob Hill, we met. I signed a 2-year deal for 700,000 with
Oh,
with
wow.
50 with 50,000 guarantee, tax free house and car. And so I said, this is if I want to get back into the league, this is my way to go. So I got overseas, and I had so much fun, and I was playing unbelievable. I decided to stay, and I had a chance to come back to the Philadelphia 76ers, but I turned it down.
What year was that, Michael? That they wanted you to come back? What year was that?
The year I had that chance is the year that the 76ers had Johnny Dawkins, and Johnny Dawkins had ripped his knee. And so they had called me, I think that was 88, 89, 90, and that he has ripped his knee and they wanted me to come over and replace him. And at that time, they only wanted to guarantee me 1 year. And I said, if you guarantee me 2 years, I'm coming back. And they said, well, we don't want to guarantee you 1 year. So they guaranteed me, they only wanted to guarantee me 1 year. So I stayed over to Italy and played till I was 46 years old.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was well documented, but like, what was the salary what you were making with the Nets compared to what the 700,000 with Italy? What was the difference in money?
Well, I was making in New Jersey, I was making 750,000 a year.
Oh, wow. So, I
So if
mean,
you
the
look
money
at
was,
that, no, the money wasn't that big of a difference.
yeah. But I mean, did you feel like the change was good for you though? Did you feel like that because I mean, you were the comeback player of the year in NBA once you got reinstated. Did you feel like the change was good for you to go overseas? I mean, obviously you were to play till you're 46, but did you feel like that?
It was the best move that I did in my life. And if I would have had to do it all over again, I would do it the same way. Because over there, you only play like one game a week, and you got like a lot of less wear and tear on your body. And so, I mean, it was unbelievable. The way of living and everything is so laid back. I mean, it's just unbelievable over there. I mean,
And
I love it over there.
how were you received by your European teammates, and were any other Americans on the team when you went to Italy?
So the other American that I went over there with, his name was Clement Johnson.
Okay, yep. And then
To like this day, I'm a king in Bologna.
so, so do you still go? I mean, obviously you got your grandson playing, but you still go
I do
back
it all the
there
time.
at all? I mean,
Yeah, but I'm still. It's amazing, playing like I haven't played ball over there in 30 years. And when I walk over there now, and if I go back now, it's just like I'm a rock star. It's unbelievable.
yeah, it's amazing. So it has to make you feel good though, like just to end your career the way you did, because I mean, playing till 46. I mean, some people want to play till 26. To play till 46 over there. So how did you keep yourself in shape? And did you ever come home during the states during that time, or did
I came home during the summers for maybe about a month, but like how I stayed in shape was we only played like one game a week, so I was always at the gym doing some shooting, doing some jogging around, running around. But how I was able to really play so long, I never had any serious injuries. If you stay injury free, you can play for a long time.
And what players did you play against over there? And then how was the style of play different compared to the NBA?
Well, it was a little more physical over there. I mean, I think over there's in Europe there's better shooters, but in America there's better athletes. and the players are a lot slower, so there's a lot more holding and grabbing. But I was over there with Daryl Dawkins, Bob McAdoo, George Gervin. I was over there with, but like all the guys that came over, Artis Gilmore, guys were at the end of their career that they came over.
Yeah. And then what was your relationship with George Gervin, the Iceman? Because he did the opening for your book. So how did you and George Gervin become friends?
You know, like playing ball in Colorado, excuse me, like back then, we didn't have a NBA team. All we had was an ABA team. So he played in the ABA. So I was in high school and junior high. I used to go and watch all the games when he came to town. So like during the games and stuff, I would talk to him after the game. I would go in the locker room and talk to him, and we became real good friends. And so when once I got into the league, oh, well, we just stayed friends.
And then Nancy Learman also gave the intro. How did you and Nancy cross paths during across your time?
I played with her in the summer league called the USBL. Nancy was the first lady that played in a men's basketball league, men's
Yeah, I mean,
professional basketball league.
y-
And like her and I, we were teammates.
well,
And but that's
I
how we
think
became real good friends.
and she's coaching. But as far as just looking back at your career in Italy, like, did you play against some players that end up coming over to the league in the NBA that you knew were gonna make it in
I,
the States?
uh, Tony Kukoc,
Okay.
he came. There was about two, three other guys that came over here and played, but like I think Tony had the best career.
Yeah. And as far as what made you come back to the States though? Like, I mean, did your family come back? Did your family end up moving with you over to Italy, or did you bring your family, or were they a little bit older at the time? Like, you know,
Like what had happened was, after being over there, my mom had got sick and stuff, and I wanted to be close to home. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I
yeah,
moved. So I moved back.
yeah. And what was your? I mean, listen, Michael. I can't thank you enough. I mean, for me, like I said, seeing you in person, have you know, you had the struggles, but it's good to see that you're overcoming. I think I think April 11th, you're gonna be 60. You got a birthday coming up, so this is gonna be in March. So I mean, you play for a long
I'm I'm
time.
gonna be I'm gonna be 70.
70. All right, you're born at 55. My math is wrong. So 70. But I'll tell you, you look
Yeah,
good
yeah.
for 70. But I mean, to see you play at Brendan Byrne Arena and that team was special because New Jersey never really, and it really hurt me that the Nets moved to Brooklyn. I
But
know that they were kind of trying to find their place, but
it's not it. The team, it doesn't look the same playing in Brooklyn instead of playing in New Jersey. It just doesn't look the same.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But what's your greatest Nick memory, and what's your greatest net memory?
Nick memory is when I led the league in steals and assists 3 years in a row, and my greatest net memory is when we beat the 76ers.
And then just dealing with your struggles with the Commissioner Stern. He was a commissioner for a long time. Did you ever cross paths, or did he ever ask you to come back and speak to some of the rookies or anything? You ever get involved with the league or?
He and I became real good friends. Like when I first came back in 2003, he had helped me get a job with the Denver Nuggets as an NBA ambassador. So he and I had he was unbelievable. I got a lot of respect for David Stern. He's a
And
hell of a human being.
what did he say to you? I mean, did he say to you like anything like it, like a Godfather line? It's not personal, it's
He
business, Michael, but like, because
was that what I told him is that he probably saved my life because if I wouldn't have been doing it, he would have never had to. He wouldn't have never had to step in. So
yeah,
so like he had, like what I did is I brought it in on myself. You know, I took responsibility.
yeah. Well, I mean, it did. And listen, and you also, unfortunately, being in the public spotlight, you got to hear about it from the fans too. So I'm sure that a lot of the fans that they weren't too forgiving either. So
Of course, but could you imagine? I mean, I wasn't the only one. I was the one that got caught. Okay,
yeah, yeah,
you know what
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean?
Well, yeah, that's the old adage. So yeah, but listen, man, listen, I'm a Giant fan. Yet LT was running. Like he was running. Probably you guys may have crossed paths. I don't know, but like but it was out there. I mean, it was out there.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I want to just take us home. But like the name Sugar. Do you still like to be called Sugar Ray?
I mean, that's what everybody calls me. I got that name when I was in college. You know, most of the guys, like most of the professional athletes, with like the middle name Ray, and if they're really good in their profession, they always call them Sugar, like Sugar Ray Leonard, like Sugar Ray Robinson. And so I was good in basketball, and so everybody started calling me Sugar.
Yeah. Well, listen, Michael. Thank you for your time. I mean, and thank you for your author. You know, Jacob Beauty. I know he wrote a biography for you. The gentleman you said earlier, he passed away, and I think he got Michael Cooper. So I'm in the book, and it really is great. And then but just for yourself, you're looking to promote the camp. Yeah, yeah, the camp. And if you give the listeners just the website again, where they can find your camps that come in New Jersey.
www.ballstarsyouthcamps, and it's on website.
Okay, and are you on Facebook, social media? Where could somebody reach out to you if they wanted a question or anything else?
I am not on social media.
Mm. Yeah, I didn't catch that last part, Michael. What was it?
I
I didn't
am
catch that
not
last.
on social media.
Okay, all right. So snail mails, but
Social media.
but are you and Otis? Is Otis out in is he out in Oklahoma too with you or?
Otis lives in Los Angeles, California.
Okay, all right. All right. Well, listen, Michael, I can't thank you enough. This is a real pleasure of mine. Like I said, I probably got this from when you were playing at the concession stand back there at New Jersey Nets, but it was great to relive your career, and you left your stamp on the game, and I think few people, not only here but also in Europe, and I think few people that could ever whoever played the game could one play to get paid, and two, leave their stamp on the game. So I mean, good, bad, or indifferent, you left your stamp on the game. But I think you have to look back. I don't think they say look back in regret, but look back and just look back at your life and say, you've accomplished something. And we won't make mistakes.
I
We just gotta learn from them. So,
appreciate that.
but well, listen, Michael, but happy 70th birthday. I hope you're still balling. You're looking good for 70 years, but thank you for the memories, and we'll be in touch. And thank you. And when you talk to Jacob, just tell him thank you for setting this up, and thank you for opening up your story, and have a great week, sir. I really appreciate it. All right.